Did you think building an AI business would be easy? Well, I did. We built hundreds of custom solutions, worked with dozens of industries, and yeah, eventually landed some pretty big deals. But my God, was it a grind. I wish someone had told me what I'm about to show you, because it would have saved me months of headaches and thousands in lost revenue. In fact, just a few months ago, we built what we thought was a perfect AI solution for a client. And you know what happened? It was a complete disaster. We nearly lost the client, we burned thousands in development, and almost destroyed our reputation. But that's when we discovered something that changed everything. So let me show you how we transformed our AI business from barely making payroll to consistent six-figure deals, the counterintuitive approach that helps us close bigger deals while doing less custom work, and the exact framework we use to find untapped opportunities that most AI businesses completely miss. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Samin. I left my software engineering job at Amazon to build an AI business that now gives me the freedom to travel while helping businesses automate their sales process. But trust me, it wasn't always like this. And I want to show you the critical mistakes that keeps most AI businesses trapped, and the same one that almost killed my business. Let me save you months of headaches and show you what we learned the hard way. Here's the biggest problem I see with most AI businesses right now. They're exactly like a neighborhood diner. You know the type, right? The ones with massive menus, pancakes, burgers, pizza, Chinese food, all in one place. The food is passable, but never really exceptional. And they can only charge like $10 to $15 per meal because they're just okay at everything, but great at nothing. And on the other hand, a high-end omakase restaurant downtown only serves one thing, a well-crafted sushi experience, and they've mastered every element. The rice, the fish, the wasabi, the presentation. They charge $300 a person and have a wait list that's months long. This was exactly my problem with AI. I was the AI diner. Like, hey, we can build you a chatbot. Need voice agents? We got you. Want an AI that creates content for you? No problem. Sounds impressive, but this was the biggest trap, because you end up building random solutions for different industries, and you never really become an expert in anything. You have to start from scratch with every client and burn a bunch of time and money on one-off projects. I had to learn this the hard way because I thought being versatile was our strength, but in reality, it was killing our business and we couldn't scale because every time we had to reinvent the wheel and build everything custom, spend hours on projects we couldn't reuse, and burn resources that we'd never really get back. This approach might pay the bills in the short term, but it's a dead end. You'll always be trading time for money with no real leverage to scale. But sometimes you really need to hit rock bottom to find gold. And that's exactly what happened when an unexpected client came knocking on our door. It all changed when this real estate wholesaler, let's call him Dave, reached out to us. So Dave was spending like $30K a month on marketing, but he was losing deals left and right. His team was drowning. His leads were waiting hours for responses. They missed all their callbacks. The VA team was inconsistent, and thousands of revenue was basically vanishing. And me, like an overconfident AI business owner at that time, I thought, perfect, we'll just replace everything with AI. We went in, we built this impressive system with voice agents, SMS, email follow-ups, the whole 9 yards. But then we made our biggest mistake, is that we convinced him to deploy the whole system at once. No gradual testing, no production validation, just one test with the client that he liked and a full swap from their old process to our new AI system. Yeah, it went about as good as anyone would expect. The voice agents got stuff like emails wrong, edge cases were popping up out of everywhere. The clients was basically watching leads disappear, and my team was working overtime trying to fix this. It was a complete train wreck, so we had to shut it down. And then we took a step back. So there I was staring at my computer at 3 a.m. one day and realized we were about to lose not just the client, but our business reputation. But sometimes you need to kind of hit rock bottom to see things clearly, and that's when it hit me. Instead of trying to replace the entire system, we needed to be surgical. So think of the business as a bucket with multiple holes. Rather than replacing the entire bucket, we needed to find the biggest leak, the one spot where the money was literally pouring out, and patch that up first. So we took a step back and asked ourselves a critical question. Where are they losing the most money right now with no human involvement? And the answer was actually surprisingly simple. So Dave's team was actually doing a lot of cold calling, and a lot of times they didn't reach the prospect and they've just moved on. But we realized a lot of the times that exact prospect would call back to the number. And guess what happens to those callbacks? Straight to voicemail that no one ever touched every single time. So think about that for a second. These were leads they already paid for, people were actively trying to reach them, and literally there was nobody to answer. But here's why this was perfect. No one was handling these calls anyway. We couldn't really mess up their existing process here because there wasn't one. It was just pure opportunity. So we rebuilt our voice agent with one job: to catch all the callbacks. That's it. So we got immediate results then. Every call was answered 24/7. The perfect information was captured because we knew what to do, and we instantly could route it to the sales team when it was important. This kind of like shocked Dave. They were like catching leads that have been vanishing into thin air for months. But here's the thing about fixing leaks. Once you patch one, you start seeing all the other ones. Sure, we were catching these calls, but then what? Let's say a lead calls back at like 9 p.m. Our AI takes the call perfectly. Cool. But what's next? Well, nothing. The lead just kind of sits there until someone remembers to follow up the next day. That's like finally catching water in your bucket, then like watching it evaporate. But here's where we did something different from every other company in this situation. Instead of trying to replace their team like we literally tried to before, we asked ourselves, what if we could give their team superpowers? So could we let AI handle all the repetitive, time-sensitive stuff and let the team focus on what they do best, like closing deals? So we devised a plan and we set it up so that one person from the team, the lead manager, could control multiple AI agents, like kind of like the puppet master. So this means the AI would handle 80% of the common scenarios and the lead manager would focus on the tricky 20%. That means everything was tracked, measured, and if anything was problematic, the person would jump in. And you know, Dave was thrilled by this. Their team was closing more deals without working more hours, but then we spotted another leak. Turns out they were spending thousands on direct mail campaigns. You know those we want to buy your house letters? Here's what was happening. So they'd send out the letters, the people would see the letters and call back, usually after hours, and it would go straight to voicemail and the lead's gone forever. Sound familiar? Well, it was exactly like the cold calling problem. And here's the beautiful part. We already had the solution. We just needed to duplicate and like change some little aspects to it. So it's the same AI agent, but in a different channel, and boom, we got immediate results. But just when we thought we had it all figured out, we discovered something that would blow everything wide open. And while celebrating this win we had with Dave, he kind of dropped a bombshell on us. He said, hey, we're spending $15K a month on Google ads. My heart sank. No, God! I knew exactly what was coming next. He said, yeah, people fill out these forms, but by the time we kind of call them back, most don't answer, and it's pretty frustrating. That's when I remembered a shocking stat I read. You're 391% more likely to convert a lead if you respond in the first few minutes. Think about that for a second. It's like ordering a hot pizza and letting it sit on your doorstep until it's like ice cold. Their team was like taking hours to respond to these leads. They were paying $50 to $100 each for. This wasn't just a leak in the bucket. This was a gaping hole. So we built what I like to call the IRS, and yes, this is the only IRS people like. The system made sure the moment someone fills out a form after seeing an ad, they would get an immediate phone call within 30 seconds. It would qualify them by asking basic questions their team members already would, and then it would route the call to available team members or keep a record and update their CRM with the information and alert the team. But here's where it gets interesting. But we quickly found a problem that should have been obvious. People don't always answer calls from unknown numbers. I mean, do you? So this is the classic case of solving one problem and creating another. But remember how we got our multi-channel approach done? Here's where we kind of got clever with it. So initially, we'd send a text that says something like, hey name, this is Jim calling about the web form you just filled out about your property ad address, and then followed that with an email. So here's the cool hack. When you send the SMS first and then call, instead of showing stuff like unknown number, their phone shows maybe Jim because the phone associates the name with that number from the same number. So suddenly we weren't just responding fast, we were responding smart. The response rates jumped from 20 to 65%, and this was awesome. But success really has a funny way of making you overconfident. So one day, while I was like reviewing their systems, I kind of noticed something strange in their CRM. Something that made my stomach drop. I said, hey, what's the deal with these like 15,000 leads in your database? His response, oh, those were just dead leads. We tried reaching out to them once or twice, but gave up. Don't have the manpower to really keep following up with them. And that's when it hit me. We'd been so focused on plugging leaks, we'd missed the gold mine sitting right under our noses. These weren't just dead leads. These are people that already showed interest. They've already paid to get their info. They might be qualified leads and even might be ready now if they weren't back then. So let me put this in perspective. So imagine finding a vault full of lottery tickets that no one ever bothered to check. How would you feel? This is exactly what we found in Dave's CRM. So do the math with me. So let's say each lead costs about $100. That's 15,000 dead leads. That's over the years collected 1.5 million in marketing spend just collecting dust. Now, most companies, including us in the early days, would have said, oh, let's blast all these 15K leads right now. But we learned our biggest lesson. We didn't need bigger buckets or a bigger blast. We needed to be smart about this. So we started small. So just 100 leads, and our thinking was simple. If we could get even a 5% response rate, we'd be onto something huge. So we built what we called like the smart campaign, which means the voice agents would be making the strategic calls based on their previous interactions in the CRM with some SMS follow-ups that kind of like felt personal to build the relationship. But here's really the crucial part. We didn't just blast every message. We built intelligence into the system. So for example, if someone mentioned that sell in 6 months, we'd note that down in the CRM. If they said they were working with another buyer, we'd track that down. If they said they weren't interested, we'd actually listen and stop bothering them. So this kind of like shocked everyone. And we started doing this. Instead of hitting a 5% that we kind of predicted, we hit a 15% response rate. And these weren't just responses. These were qualified conversations with people that actually were interested in selling. Our client was able to close a deal within the first week from these dead leads. Cool, but scaling this up created a problem that kind of nearly broke everything we built. When we tried to expand to 100 to 15K leads, we really hit a wall. The problem wasn't just the volume, it was also the follow-up strategy itself. See, we were thinking about the leads in the wrong way. We were categorizing them as interested now, interested later, or not interested. Sounds logical, but here's where we were dead wrong. So later one night, when we were reviewing some conversations, we kind of noticed something crazy. So some of our best deals came from leads who initially showed zero interest. They just needed the right timing, some persistent follow-up, and some professional persistence. So that's when we developed the system and cooked it into our platform. And what we now call is the buy-buy-die framework. And here's how it works. So we'll keep following up with every lead until one of three things happen. They either buy now, which is like book a meeting. They say bye, that means tell us to stop or go away, or we don't stop until they die. Sounds aggressive maybe, but here's why it works. Because life circumstances really just happen. Like jobs change, people's families grow, their finances change. But by maintaining this consistent and professionally following up over time, we can be there when things change for these people. And this is something like team members or staff can't really do it all, right? It's too many people. So remember those first few deals from like the 100 leads? That was just the warm up. When we rolled out the buy-buy-die framework to the entire database, the numbers were actually crazy. So way more leads, like 15% started talking to us, and 5% were really ready to sell now. And another 10% even gave us actual timelines they had in mind. But here's where it really blew our minds is month after month, we kept closing deals from leads nobody touched. So this one lead said no 6 times, then got divorced. That means they needed to sell their house ASAP. Another one wasn't ready for months, and suddenly he got transferred across the country from his job, and guess who they called? See, we weren't just closing more deals, we were just catching these deals that nobody else could because we were there in the right moment when life happened. But success came with its own problems. Our client CRM kind of at that point looked like a war zone. The conversations were like scattered everywhere, the follow-ups were all over the place, and team members were really stepping on each other's toes. And we really needed to turn this chaos into something one person could manage. So we built this command center. That's when we started building our software platform, which means every lead status we could see at a glance, and we could see when the follow-ups are automatically scheduled. And the AI agents and people could actually work in harmony together because it instantly would flag these people when it's the right time. How we did this was with a combination of 2 softwares. So we built this thing called bookedin.ai and we combined it with a new CRM we got them on, which is Go High Level, and set that up really well. When we combine these, they actually work really well together because now suddenly one person could do the work of an entire team. And the cool part is once we started implementing this, other real estate wholesalers started noticing. And here's what happened next. That was really interesting. So the word kind of started spreading in the real estate wholesaling community, and our client was like bragging about their results, like masterminds and stuff. So that's when the flood really started. Other wholesalers began reaching out to us, like, can you build this for us? How fast can we get this set up? We have 20K leads in our CRM. But here's where most AI companies would have messed up again, like we did in the beginning. The temptation was like pretty obvious at that time, and which meant right now, because this was still pretty new, we had to do custom builds for everyone and charge a lot and do everything manually and start from scratch every time. So the approach we took was we took a step back, waited for a bit, and took our time and took everything we learned, like the buy-by-die framework, the multi-channel coordination, and having the command center, and packaged it all into our platform, which is bookedin.ai. So now instead of weeks of coding, painful integrations, training their team, constantly fixing and updating stuff, we could really deploy our entire system in a couple days. But here's the real magic. By going deep in just real estate wholesaling, we knew their pain points before they even told us. We understood their tech limitations and we spoke their language, which meant we could literally predict what they needed next. We became the AI company for these real estate lead management because we had some proven results in the industry, some deep understanding of the business. We could deploy really fast and actually know what success means. But here's what really made us different. We didn't just understand their business. We mastered their entire marketing ecosystem. See, every real estate wholesaler runs one of these for their marketing, and each one is possibly leaking. So one, they're probably going to be having a team of cold callers grinding out calls daily. They're probably going to be leaving a lot of voicemails, and they'll often miss callbacks and not consistently follow up. So our solution to that is using AI agents to catch every lead callback, qualify them, and then maintain that. And then two, so let's say they're doing direct mails. You know, we want to buy your house letters, those. These wholesalers are sending these out monthly, and the people, let's say, that are calling at 3 a.m., these calls were going to voicemail. So we want to make sure we don't miss another opportunity by handling all these inbound calls. And this one really hurt to watch, and it was the ads and PPC campaigns that they would run, which means they were like spending some money to run these ads, which is like $50 to $100 per lead. And then it was taking hours for people to respond. And you know, because there's so many, you can't really qualify them. And this means the conversion rates are pretty bad. And our fix to this was having and deploying an instant response system, the IRS, and having the multi-channel follow-up, which meant no lead really got left behind. And the last one is making sure we do our database retrievals. So all those like old leads collecting dust, we want to make sure we're putting systemized follow-up in there and not have that wasting marketing spend with that buy-by-die framework I was talking about. So our solution was the buy-by-die framework with automated and persistent follow-up. So because we know all of this now, we built one unified system that means they can handle all these different touch points very efficiently. That means we weren't just another AI company anymore. We were an AI company that specialized in the real estate lead management. We had proven results in the industry, understood the business, and could deploy really fast. And that's when everything really clicked. This lesson really changed everything about our business. Instead of just being another AI agency or something, building random solutions, we became known as the real estate AI specialists. Here's what that means. So for our clients, life got way easier. That means they didn't have to explain their business to us. We didn't have to learn what wholesaling is, and no more custom development. And for us, everything was simplified. So no more starting from scratch, no more building custom proposals, no more reinventing the wheel. And the biggest change, this is the one I love, it was to our sales process. So before we were like every other company. We'd be like, hey, can we build this AI solution? What do you need? And then there'd be like weeks of discovery calls, custom proposals, uncertainty, whatnot. Now, the fact that we know that if you're in real estate, perfect, let me guess. Because we nailed their problems before. Like your cold calling team is leaving voicemails, but what's happening with the missed calls? The PPC leads are going cold because you're too slow, and you got thousands of dead leads in your CRM. The reaction was always the same. Wait, how did you know? And because we productized everything in our software booked in AI, the implementation went from weeks to days, and the complex setups became a lot more simple and templatized. Now we know how to get predictable results and added a massive boost to our profit margins. But here's where it gets really interesting. Every new wholesaler using our system makes it better. That means the more data we get, the smarter the AI gets. And the more use cases we do, the better the processes become. And each new client made our system smarter and more effective for everyone. But this kind of like led us to an even bigger lesson. You know what's crazy? This wasn't just about real estate anymore. We realized this is something much bigger. Look, every industry, and I mean every industry, has these same problems. Their leads are falling through the crack. Their follow-up is all over the place. None of their systems talk to each other, and their teams are overwhelmed or inconsistent at best. But here's the thing most people get wrong. You can't just waltz in and then fix everything all at once. Trust me, I tried that. The real secret isn't specialization either. Think about what we did. We didn't try to be heroes and revolutionize the real estate industry overnight. We didn't try to replace their entire team with AI, and we didn't even build anything super fancy. We did something much simpler. We picked one vertical, the real estate wholesaling, we knew nothing about initially, but we were a good fit and we got good results. We found their specific pain points and built solutions that actually worked and scaled it step by step. What we really learned from this? The first big lesson was start with the gap. Don't run around looking for places to sprinkle AI. Instead, we were like looking for where the money was literally falling through the cracks without any human involvement. That's the real golden opportunity right there. And then we build gradually. So listen, I know it's tempting to try and solve everything at once, but that's like trying to boil the ocean. Instead, you want to pick one problem, solve it completely, and then slowly add more capabilities, and then test everything extensively. And then we want to focus on one vertical. If you ever heard the riches are in the niches, well, that's true. When you focus on one vertical, you actually understand the pain points for the customer. You solve them in a real way, not imaginary ones, and you get paid way better. And the fourth lesson, this is huge, is that we had to create systems and not just solutions each time. Look, anyone can use or build a random AI tool, but a tool without a framework is like having a Ferrari with no engine. You kind of need both. That's why we try to understand the problems and build frameworks like that buy-buy-die framework. And it's not about AI doing the work, it's about having a clear understanding of the problem, making it repeatable so you can get consistent results. And the fifth lesson, this one really helps us, is productize everything. See, most AI companies are stuck in this custom build trap. They're basically digital construction workers building from scratch every time. Instead, what we should do is pick the niche and then turn it into a software. And I see so many AI businesses making the same mistakes that we used to. They basically can't find their first client because they try to do everything for everyone. And let's say they do find one, they'll burn out on custom work and then spread themselves too thin. It becomes a job with another boss. And the worst part is that they don't even realize it. They think being a generalist means more opportunities, but in reality, it means longer sales cycles, a higher customer acquisition cost, lower profit margins, harder implementations, and frustrated clients. Look, I get it, I was there too. The idea of focusing on one vertical is like super scary. It feels like you're kind of like limiting yourself, but here's the truth. If you need heart surgery, would you go to a general doctor who does a little bit of everything? Or would you want a heart surgeon who's done that exact surgery thousands of times? That's exactly what happened to us with the real estate space. We became the heart surgeons of the lead management for real estate wholesalers. And you know what's funny? The more specialized we got, the bigger the opportunity kind of became. Because now clients come to us and not the other way around. They already trust it because we speak their language, and they get results quicker because we've solved these exact problems before. So here's my challenge to you. If you're running an AI business right now, take a hard look at your clients. Which industry do you really understand best? Which problems can you solve effectively, and where can you get the best results? That's your clue. That's your opportunity. And if you're thinking, what if I picked the wrong vertical? Remember our story. We didn't start planning to specialize in real estate wholesaling. We stumbled onto it. But once we saw the opportunity, we went all in. Here's the thing. Even with the perfect vertical, if you don't know how to sell these solutions the right way, none of this really matters. So watch this video next, where I'll show you exactly how to position and sell AI solutions that get clients begging to work with you, even if you hate selling. And if you're a business owner who wants help implementing these solutions right now, I put a link below to book a call with me where we can map out the perfect solution for your specific situation.